Welcome to another round of Brown Bag Business Chat. My name is Randy Skinner. I am the Business Development Partner here at Blue Steel Solutions. And today we are really excited to chat about branding. So our title is Free to Be You and Me, Why Your Unique Brand Personality Matters. So I have Adam over here on the call as well, our video. We're not really a call.
Oh, I'm here.
All right.
I'm on the call.
Yes, we are all here and accounted for. Well, cool. So we're going to kind of talk a little bit about branding today. We're going to talk about branding from a corporate level as well as on a personal level, and kind of just to dive in. Adam, when I say brand, what does that mean to you? Like, define that from your perspective.
So a brand is what you are in the mind of a consumer. And so this can apply to you personally, and it can apply to your business. So we each have a personal brand, whether we know it or not. Our business has a brand, whether we've defined it or not. So my brand is whatever people think it is. I might have an idea in my head that my personal brand is something. I'm a content writer. But if all I'm doing is social media, for example, my brand might actually be social media manager, because in other people's minds, they don't think of me for writing content. They think of me for writing social media.
Right. Spot on.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, so brand, it's basically what are you known for in your customer base? When they say Blue Steel Solutions, what do they think of? When they say Randy Skinner, what do they think of? Same thing. Totally. I think you're spot on. So let's dive in and talk a little bit about personal brand.
I thought we already dived in. Are we diving in again?
We're diving in deeper. Let's go into the deep end.
Okay. I'm there.
Me over to the deep end, Adam.
Okay, let's do it.
So personal brand, I think that when I think personal brand, a really important component from my perspective is how you're viewed online. So your Facebook, your Twitter, any of your social media outlets, that is part of your personal brand, that messaging that you're putting out there. What do you think of?
Well, I do want to say real quick that I think that this is something that business owners need to be considering. They need to be considering their personal brand in addition to their business brand, because whether you realize it or not, it's super important who you are as a business owner. One of the greatest benefits of working with a small business is you're working with a person, an individual. The turnaround's faster. You know what you're getting most of the time. So it's really nice to be able to work with someone, and that personal brand that you've built can be really integral in pushing your business's brand, especially if for a lot of small business owners, it's just you. And if it's just you, your personal brand is really important because it's reflecting who you are and your business. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, if you've done a good job creating the right personal brand for yourself, then when you have a new prospective client, the trust and the rapport, there's a layer of it already there because you're already known for something out in the community. You're already known for something, if you're a marketing company, say, and you've worked with local businesses and they know that myself, Randy Skinner, I'm someone that's super involved in the community. I care about what's happening in Denton, and I volunteer at different opportunities. So I've been able to build trust with community members. And I think that that's an advantage, right? Is because people already know you, and they know you for things that, maybe it's not for marketing, but they know me for other things that are speaking to integrity, to trust, to the things that are important when you're making a decision to work with somebody. By all means, that's not the reason that we get involved, but it's a bonus. And so I think that that personal brand totally comes from how you want to put yourself out there on a professional level as well as a personal level. So, I mean, you're
Well, a great example of that is Apple, back when Steve Jobs was running it, and you can see how it's changed based on who the new CEO is, because the personal brands are so different. So a big part, Apple is a brand, right? But Steve Jobs was his own brand and a very unique CEO in a lot of ways. And there are many people who were much more loyal to Steve Jobs than they were to the Apple brand itself. And whenever something came out, they didn't care so much that Apple made it, but that Steve Jobs was involved in it. And he had this very unique personality. You know, he was very focused on design. Design was everything to him. You know, he may have been a little rude and off-putting, but I think that was part of his charm. And then he, you know, he passes away, and the new CEO comes on, Tim Cook, and suddenly Apple looks a lot different and is acting a lot different. And you can even see, I mean, the company itself has had to recover from that a little bit, but the personal brand of Steve Jobs played a huge role in that company. So even for very, very large companies, the personal brand always intersects with the brand of the company, no matter how much you want it to or not. So it's something that people need to be thinking about.
I think you're totally on the mark there. Yeah.
Thanks. I'm glad. I've been on the mark this whole time so far, apparently.
Awesome. All right. So what else do we want to say about personal brand? Anything before we move
Well,
on?
we can talk about specifics. I mean, what are some specific things that you've done to build your personal brand?
Yeah, so I think that the tools that are available are just incredible. So the same tools that we would guide our business partners to utilize, we would really encourage those individual owners to utilize for their personal brand. So for example, creating a newsletter, doing an email blast that talks about some of the things that you're doing in your personal life, some of the things you're doing on a professional level, and really telling the community, your target audience, a little bit more about you and who you are and kind of what you are about. So I think utilizing tools like MailChimp, Constant Contact, and setting up your own personal newsletter. That's something that I do. Once a month, I create a little in the know from the desk of Brandy Skinner, and you know, it's really fun. It's a fun way to get to let people know a little bit more about you, and it's free. Okay, so MailChimp, Constant Contact, it doesn't cost you anything. So as a small to medium-sized business owner, we're always looking for ways that we can you know, make the most out of marketing dollars. So I think that your own personal newsletter is a great way to do that. And then the social media tools are super valuable.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about that. I'm just really offended that I haven't gotten your newsletter yet. I had no idea you put out a newsletter.
Yeah, okay, I'll add you to my list. Would you like to be on my newsletter subscription?
Well, now I feel like it's too late. I'm already offended.
You're already, all right, well. You know.
But I think the social media stuff, that's not only, it's so easy. And in many cases, it's, you know, it's going to just cost you your time. You know, you don't have to pay for it. But we talk so much about how the importance of social media. We have to be using it as a business, but it's just as important for your personal brand. So if you're running a small business, you have to be thinking about, what am I posting on social media? What should I not be posting on social media? You know, so if I'm putting if I'm normally posting lots of political or religious or other, you know, hot topic issues that can set people off, I might want to step away from that if it doesn't align with the values of my business, or I might want to continue with that if it works for what I'm doing with my business. But I think the most important thing is to be aware of it and to be, you know, really thinking about, am I doing this just because I've always done it, or now is there a purpose behind it that goes along with who I am as a person and who this brand is that I'm trying to build, and what this brand is that I'm trying to build with for my business. Because even though the brand exists in the mind of our consumers, that's where it is. They decide who we are, but we can push them and pull them in certain directions through marketing, through social media, through stuff like that. And brands can over time influence who and what they are and how people think of them. It's just, it can be a tough game to play.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me ask you a question. I have my own opinion. I want to get your opinion. So talking personal brand, do you think people should have a separate account? Let's just use Facebook. So this applies to Twitter, to Instagram, to all of them. But let's just use Facebook. Keep it simple. Should you have a personal Facebook and a professional Facebook? Should you have one? What do you think?
I think you should have both. I think you should have a personal and a professional. I think there should be there should be a distinctness between you as a person and your brand and your business as a brand, because your business may, hopefully it's going to get bigger and larger and grow and go beyond you. Mm-hmm. So that brand itself needs to have, I think, its own room and ability to grow. And if you and the brand are one and the same, it's going to be much more difficult later on for it to split off.
So do you mean that you would have like your business Facebook page, like Blue Steel Solutions, and then you would have like your personal Adam Facebook page, or do exactly. Do you have two separate Adam Facebook pages?
Well, I see what you're saying. Yeah, so I would have a separate page. So I would have a page for me personally, Adam Fout, and then I would have a page for Adam Fout's business. And that way the two could grow on their own. I think I would like to talk about a few of the things you can do beyond social media. I mean, obviously making a website is an important part of that, but even for personal branding, if you have the time to be able to devote to it, starting a blog, especially one that's discussing whatever it is that's the cool thing about the blog is if you do a personal blog versus a business blog is you can talk more about other issues than just the business. So that you can talk about, you can build your own personal brand out a little bit differently through the blog. But having a blog, having the email idea that you do, that's really good. You can also do building out all the different social media profiles. So not just Facebook, but LinkedIn, a Twitter account, Instagram, Pinterest, you name it. So there are other tools that you can use, and even doing a personalized logo that is different from the logo of your business. So it all depends, I think, on what your goals are and what kind of brand you want your personal brand to be and what your business brand needs to look like. Yeah.
Oh, I love what you said about the blog. I don't know. I use this. I don't know if a lot of other people use this, but LinkedIn has their posting capability that they've developed over the past couple of months. And essentially, if you're not familiar with it, it works like a blog. So it has the capability for you to go in, post your articles, and share it out to your LinkedIn community. As a business owner, as someone in the business world, if you need to have a LinkedIn and you need to be building out connections. Like I don't know if I think that's very important. You get to collect people. That's kind of what LinkedIn is. You collect people.
That's wonderfully creepy. Thank you for putting it that way.
But I think that the blog posting capability on LinkedIn is a great way to start. If you're not comfortable like going and creating your own WordPress blog or utilizing some of those other tools like Blogger and such, LinkedIn, more than likely a lot of us are already familiar with it. You can go in and create that posting tool, and it's really easy and it's really valuable. I think to kind of just touch on it briefly, from a personal brand perspective, the things that you would blog about, sometimes I think people think, oh, well, nobody wants to hear what I have to say, or what would I write about? Like, what am I going to say? So when you're thinking about your personal brand, the first layer is just to figure out, okay, well, what are you about? So for me, I'm about marketing, community, and family. That's what I'm about. So go and kind of figure out like what you're about. Like Adam, he's all about content writing. I know you're about other things too, but figure out what you're about.
Let's just say content for this.
Content and really good earplugs. That's all you have, right?
They are falling apart. They're not really good with them.
Yeah, and then create some content around that. So for example, as a business owner, getting involved in community chamber events, getting involved in organizations, going to those events, and then write about them. Write 300 words that talked about how much fun it was or the people that you met. And it's really surprising how you think that people wouldn't care, don't want to read it, but they do. People want to know the personal things about you, not the, kind of suit and tie, like very stringent. No, nobody wants to know that. Everybody wants to know the personality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. And I mean, and even if the brand you're trying to build is very clean cut, professional, corporate, you can still do that. You can still build that using, especially on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is probably the most professional social media site out there. So if you want to focus on, if you're in the financial sector, let's say, and you want to just talk nothing but finance, you can do that. And there are people who will be interested. And the great part about it is most of the people who are going to be reading it, at least at first, unless it gets shared a lot, are people who are in your network anyway, who hopefully very well, or at least you've met a couple times. So it's not like you're posting to strangers unless it becomes really popular. It's posting to the people you know.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, well, let's move into the kind of business branding, more of the corporate level. I think the same rule applies, right? Like, what are you known for? What do people think of when they hear your business name, see your logo? So as we kind of migrate into that, what do you think of? Where do we go from here?
So I'd like to talk about the idea that your business is what people think it is, but you can change that. And there are brands who have done that, like Amazon. Amazon is one of my favorite examples. So Amazon, in the beginning, they were just selling books. They were selling books online. And then Amazon, they're still not quite sure what they want to be, but they know they didn't want to just sell books forever. They wanted to become something else. And so they started selling all kinds of products. And at that time, eBay was really what was kind of known for that. You go to eBay for anything. But over time, with concerted marketing and ad campaigns, and by by pairing that with actual product offerings, by actually selling these great products online and making those relationships and making sure the products were there and they were going to get shipped and they're going to get shipped right, and et cetera, et cetera. So having something to provide to show that we're not just books, right? We've set up this great network for books, but now we can use that to move other products. And by doing that, they eventually became known as, this is where you go to shop online. Mm-hmm. And in many ways it's better for them. They're different than eBay because you don't have to bid on stuff, right? You can just buy it. And now today they're trying to do another shift. They want to be known for media. So Amazon Prime, and they have tons and tons of great content on there. But they're competing with a giant. They've got Netflix, and when you think in your mind streaming video, Netflix is probably in the top of your mind. And there are some other, and people don't think, or at least didn't think of Amazon that way. Not in the beginning. They said, "Oh, Amazon's where I buy things. It's not where I watch movies." But they're changing that, and people are using it, and they've pushed the Prime membership, and they've made it really attractive by saying, in addition to getting stuff shipped, which you already want quickly, and in addition to this Prime membership, we're throwing in this great content that you can get. And they've gotten people on board, and now people are starting to think, oh, I want streaming services. Maybe Amazon Prime is the way to go. I might as well get it anyway. I buy stuff on there all the time. So it can be done. You can change as a brand, and they have an idea, I think, in their head of where they want to go. Sometimes I'm not sure with Amazon, but you can do the same thing with your brand. If you want to be known for something, you have to first figure out, what do people already know me for?
I love that. Yeah. What do people already know me for? That's where you got to start. I mean, you got to build from there. So I think kind of on the other side of it, a great example of unique marketing is the Mini Coupes. So HubSpot put out this blog, and it was the top 10 most remarkable marketing ads. And Mini Coop was number 3. And so I just thought the way that they went about this was really cool. And, you know, sometimes we want to be everything to everyone. And in order to create a true brand, we can't do that.
Yeah.
And so what Mini Coop did is, instead of taking like what you're really good at or what you want to be known for, what they did is they said, okay, what is undeniably different about Mini Coops? What's the one thing that makes them different from all the competitors? Well, that's the size. They're super tiny, right? They're mini, teeny weeny Mini Coops is what they say in the article. And and so what they did is they capitalized on that one undeniably different characteristic. And, you know, that's why, if you remember back when they were doing this, you would see like the actual cars up on the billboards. They had cars in the mall. They were putting cars in like places that it's like awkward to have cars, like super tiny things. And so they're just playing off that. So I love that. I think that that totally created a brand. And, you know, when I say car dealership or car sales, I feel like you get a specific image in your mind, right? It's like the tags, and it's like the best deal ever, and it's like, you know, sold, going once. There's this deal if you come down Saturday. It's like, come on out, we got the blue ribbon special, whatever. It's that
end of the year sale, right? Crazy low.
Labor Day sale. It's like,
we're losing so much money. Come down before we change our crazy minds. What are we thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like even in like traditional print ads, it's kind of the same thing. It's like they're yelling at you with like all of these ads. So I feel like Mini Coop, instead of just jumping on the bandwagon, went with this unique thing, and I created a brand from that one thing that made them different than everyone else, kind of the quirky thing about them.
And this I think gets back to the name of this, you know, why your unique brand personality matters. Because if you're not unique and you're not differentiating yourself from the competition, you're just going to get lost. There are so many brands out there. There are established brands. There are many small businesses that are established. If you're not doing something that sets you apart from the competition, you're going to drown in mediocrity. You know, you have, and that's what Mini Cooper did, is they said, we have this one differentiator that sets us apart from the crowd. And there are other small cars out there. You know, there are other tiny little cars out there. But when you think of it, you think Mini Cooper, and you know, you had like when that movie, The Italian Job, came out, they all drove Mini Coopers around. That was a brilliant move on their side, because they showed not only are we this unique brand, but we're still fast. We're still great sports cars. And I think that it introduced you know, the American audience to it in a way they hadn't seen it before. But you know, whatever. That's why I think it's so important to figure out what is unique about your brand that makes you better than everyone else, that's going to make someone come to you than someone else. Whether, you know, if you're a pretzel shop and you sell the best damn pretzels that anyone's ever eaten, you don't want to be pushing these other things, at least not at first. You don't want to be pushing, you know, your pies and your cakes and your candies if the pretzels are what's bringing people in. Because that's at the end of the day, if you push too many different things and you stop focusing on what makes you really great, people are going to say, well, you know, their pretzels are okay, I can get a pretzel down the street. You want to be the only pretzel that anyone will ever eat for the rest of their life.
Totally. I think you have to look at like what's unique about you. And then once you've identified your target audience, your target go-to people, look in that demographic and say, okay, what is everybody else that's targeting these same people doing well? So if there's already 5 people doing specialty stuff, high-end stuff super well, maybe you should be the cheap guy. I mean, this is a silly example, but it makes me think of like when we were talking about like restaurants and bars. Like, there's already places, and Denton's a great example of this, right? Like, we have tons of places that lifestyle culture, for a great cocktail. If there's already places that are doing this super high-end, awesome drink, maybe you should be the cheap guy. maybe you should be the go-to for the, maybe not nickel papers, like that sounds a little gross, but like the go-to for, you know, this cheap awesome beer. Or, I mean, I'm not saying that's what anybody in Denton should do.
Right.
To think with that mindset of, okay, if everybody else is already doing this, what is the one thing that no one's doing that I can do well and that I am doing well, and capitalize on it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's got to be something that is different about you compared to everyone else. And when you push that, that's how your business is going to succeed moving forward.
That is how you create a brand. And so we have like 5 minutes left. And so I think a few things that just to kind of add on, finding what's unique, finding what you can put out there and be known for is, above all, the most important thing. And
let's talk about consistency. Sorry to interrupt. I was just
thinking, where I was going with this.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll let you go.
Let's talk about consistency.
Okay.
Do it.
Okay. Well, I think that easy to say. Okay, here's what my brand is. Here's what we want to be.
Yeah.
But how do I make sure to push what I want to be regularly? Because if I'm all over the place, they don't know where to go. And so I think it's really important to figure out how can I be as consistent as possible with this. So what's that?
You're kind of cutting out. Is that just on my end, or is that in general?
I'm not sure.
Okay, now you're better.
Okay. So anyway, one way to be consistent is by using a style guide or creating a style guide. And so a style guide helps you figure out colors. It helps you figure out logos. It helps you figure out the items, the design items, and the content items that you're going to have across all kinds of different, any sort of print material you're going to have, all your digital, on your social media pages, on your YouTube banner, for example. All these things fall into the style guide, and it even tells you what specific types of language are we going to use and are we not going to use. What's okay to use, what's not. So is it okay to use contractions, for example? Is it okay for me to use to say like hi instead of hello? I mean, it can get really, really granular like that. But that a lot of brands create a style guide, and I'll show you one here, just an example of what these look like. So Skype has this style guide here, and I really like it. It's got their color, right, or their colors, and whoops-a-daisy. So there we go. As you go through the style guide, you can see all the different things, like what they're going to do with their logo, what they're going to do with their with different types of words. For instance, when they talk about, here's our typeface that we're using in print. These are the typefaces that are acceptable. When I'm online, these are the typefaces that are acceptable. Mm-hmm. Here are the colors that go along with Skype. So it can get really specific, and it makes it so that you don't have to, like, it even, like, here are the different sizes of the logo. And then this is my favorite one. Here's even what our cloud should look like. So what I really like about this is it makes it so that it's easier for you to figure out, like, to not have to think so much when putting together branding material, and to not accidentally, because you already know, you've determined beforehand, here's the only logo we're going to use on anything print. Here's the only logo we're going to use on anything digital. And right. So it allows you to know moving forward, so it saves some time there, but it also makes sure that it's going to be consistent. So when people get print material, they always see the same logo. They always see the same brand. They associate the same types of words with your brand. And over time, you continue to build on that consistency and possibly change who your brand is in the mind of the consumer. But I think at the end of the day, a lot of it comes down to, they're intangibles that, well, they're not super intangible, but you need to be thinking about too. Part of your brand is your customer service. Part of your brand is how you answer the phone. Part of the brand is how you deliver on a project and meet deadlines that you've set with clients, or you know, part of your brand is little tiny things like a dog groomer giving out you know, a little gift basket when they return the dog, or anything like that. That all plays into your brand. And so if you've spent tons of time on design and print and typography and all this stuff, it doesn't matter if you're giving poor customer service, because people are going to, I mean, you can look at, there are a lot of companies that won tons and tons of money on branding. Their customer service is crap, and they've been destroyed as a brand. So it's really holistic. It's every kind of interaction you have with the public all goes into this. And if you're not, and it doesn't matter how much money you spend, if you're not delivering a great product and you're not giving, you know, at the very least acceptable customer service, but should be great customer service, then your brand is going to suffer, whether it's beautiful or not.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it. I couldn't put it better. I mean, I think that it's everything that you do. And I think that if you say you're going to do something, if you say that you're the #1 dog groomer because you have the best customer service in town, then by golly, you better do it. Yeah. And you have one experience, 2 experiences that doesn't happen, it really can shatter what you're known for, because of the ability for people to write reviews and the ability for people to get that message out there. So everything you do has to follow through with everything that you say you're about as a brand. Yeah. So you do checks and balances, you know, have team meetings to make sure everybody's on the same page, you know, send out the style guide to everybody in your organization so that everybody knows what to expect from a style perspective, and the logos and the tone. I think that one of the pieces of advice that I would give to small to medium-sized businesses is, one, if you're able to work with an agency, definitely do it. If that's not in your budget, go and look at some of the brands or leaders in your industry that you respect and that you think do a great job at what you would like to do a great job at. And look and see what they do. You know, look at their style guide, look at what they're doing on social media, and kind of look at how they're building the wheel. You know, if the wheel is already there, you don't have to totally build it. You can just tweak it and make it your own. I think that if you're looking at building a style guide, going and taking a look at what Skype's doing to kind of give you an outline. A local example of a nonprofit that has a phenomenal style guide is United Way of Denton County. I mean, theirs is, if you want to see an in-depth style guide, go check theirs out. So, I mean, take a look at what's being done that has been successful, and then think, how can I make this my own, and put your own unique spin on it, whether that's your business spin or your personal brand spin. That's what I would say. All right, well, we are out of time. So do you have any closing remarks, Adam?
No, I just think about it. I mean, the most important thing I think for new business owners who are starting out is to have it in your mind. Once you start thinking about it, you're on the right track.
Yeah. All right, guys, well, go out there, be free, be you, and build your business. We'll see you next time on the Brown Bag Business Chat.
Bye.
Bye.